Hello, friends. Today we're going to be talking about a subject which holds very potentially grave meanings for our time. Quite recently, it's come out about January, a few months ago, that the elites are preparing for civil unrest by buying up land in remote places like deserts and hill country and building for themselves fortresses that could be easily defended in the situation that there is an uprising. Also, for a while now, the military has been training to take over U.S. cities, and they have been taught that gun owners and constitutionalists are the enemy. This has been known for a while. It's come out in mainstream news, official documents, you name it. It's been out for more than a few years now, and the military has been freaking out about it. I will say this before I go any further with this video. The people in the military are good people. I don't hate the troops. I'm not one of those weird people who say that people who serve in our military are murderers and kill babies or things like that. So I don't support that because these people are brave people in the military, and quite frankly, they have more courage in their pinky nail than all these people who call them murderers in their whole body. And quite frankly, a lot of people in the military are way more aware of what's going on than the general public is. So in my eyes, that makes people in the military twice as good as any sheeple out there, any stupid sheep that are in the public that call the military murderers and bad people. I want that to be known. I don't hate the military. I support the troops. They are brave. I have many friends who are from the military. Many of them have seen things that nobody should have to see. And I strongly encourage we do what we can for the troops that are coming home and finding that they're being listed as the new enemy in the new terrorist group. That's another thing. The government, the New World Order, are listing returning military veterans as terrorists. They're training the new recruits in the military that veterans are terrorists. And to their credit, the people in the military who are serving do not like this. And I suspect when the proverbial crap hits the fan, the military is on a massive scale not going to go along with it because they're good people. They're good moral people most of the time. And they've been training to take over U.S. cities. This is only going to amp up this summer and probably for the rest of the year. And they're claiming it's going to be used overseas. And yeah, it is used overseas, but a lot of people in the military are not okay with being trained to shoot Americans and take over American cities. A lot of people in the military are not okay with this, and I suspect they aren't going to go along with it if they're ever going to have to put their training into action on U.S. soil. I'm guessing a large part of the military is going to say no and side with the citizens, and it's going to create trouble for the New World Order. But here you have the military, the armed forces, being trained to take over U.S. cities and being taught people who support the Constitution are the enemy. And again, the military is not okay with that. I'm not saying the military is evil or anything. I'm saying they're not okay with it. And I'm glad the military is as aware as it is because, quite frankly, I trust them more than I trust the stupid sheeple who roam this country. Okay? Since they're being trained to take over cities, Constitutionalists are the enemies, and the fact this is going to amp up more this summer is concerning, not to mention the fact that the president for the Institute of New Economic Thinking, funded by George Soros, says and admits that for a while the elites have been building fortresses and buying land in remote desert and mountain areas, and have been moving to different countries in the event of a uprising that is created by income inequality. What this really means is the bankers and the politicians who run this country have been robbing you through unjust taxes that are unconstitutional, and they keep increasing these taxes and amping them up, and America's slowly being drained dry, and we're in a pretty bad economic situation, and no one seems to care. They admit they want to bring in a new world order. They admit politicians, elites, authors who are part of it all admit they're going to bring in a new world order, and people will die fighting a new world order. George Orwell wrote a book called 1984, and he said he hoped his book would come to fruition, meaning he hoped what happened in his book would happen in real life. His book is about how a totalitarian government controls everything in America with a high-tech technological surveillance state. And we can see this happening in our real world. They're building devices, admittedly, they admit this, research it for yourself, that have built-in webcams that can be remotely activated and see what you're doing, even if the webcam is turned off, and they sell this to third parties. They're so gutsy as to admit in the new Samsung smart TVs that if you want to have a private conversation, you better not do it in front of their smart TVs, because their smart TVs are recording what you're saying. This is in the terms of agreement. I am not messing with you or BSing you. Okay? It says in the terms of agreement, they hear what you're saying, so you'd better watch what you say. If you want to have a private conversation, don't have one in front of your Samsung Smart TV, because it records what you say. Yes, that's right, folks. They have many ways of spying on the public through cameras, through smart TVs, through smartphones. Google records what you search and sends it to the NSA. YouTube is owned by Google, so it's only a matter of time before I get big enough and they shut my channel down. They have cameras everywhere in our country. In Chicago, they have cameras that record people on streetlights and parks and what have you, and people accept it. In my state of Iowa, they have on our highways and streets and stoplights cameras. They say it's to prevent speeding. No, my friends, that's not what it's for. Because people speed anyway and just slow down as they get to the cameras, and then speed once they're past the cameras. What it's really for is to get you acclimated with being surveyed. 1984, that's been coming true for a while. They don't do it all at once. They do it incrementally so you don't notice and start rebelling, because that would spell big trouble for them. See, George Orwell wrote in his book that sports, beer, and gambling are what filled the public's mind, and if they just took their attention off of that, they could have saved themselves from being under a tyrannical rule. That's not the exact quote, of course, but I'm paraphrasing it for people. See, what are we obsessed with today? People are obsessed with TV, video games, celebrities, sports. They're using the NFL to push gun control, to push the feminist agenda, to divide our country further. They're pushing all of this through sports and popular public entertainment. Now, I wouldn't have a problem with it if they didn't try to push agendas through it, and if they didn't try to make it what the public worships. I guarantee you, you go out, let's say, to a bar or a church or someplace and ask a man about football, he's going to know everything about his favorite team and all the stats on his favorite player. You ask him what's going on in the world, he's going to repeat the either Republican or Democratic Party line and not know what's actually happening, because he won't have done his research, because all he cares about is his mainstream news, his television, and his sports, and probably his beer. Okay? We can turn this around, my friends. All we gotta do is, again, as I've always said, peacefully assemble and say no. I will not stand for people rioting because of this. I will not stand for people saying they want to be free but burning things to the ground. I will not stand for seeing a peaceful protest turn out to a riot in which they burn a town down like those idiots in Ferguson. And I might be being offensive by saying that, but if you're going to burn down a city over a guy who committed an robbery and tried to take a cop's gun and rush him, you're going to burn down a city over him and say that police brutality needs to stop, you shame the movement. There are plenty of other people out there who are prime examples of police brutality. Eric Garner, Kelly Thomas, all around the country. Okay? Cops aren't all bad people. Like any group, they have a bad faction in them. There are a lot of cops who stand up for the Constitution, who stand up for freedom. But you're going to alienate those cops by burning things to the ground and supporting thugs like Michael Brown. I'm not going to apologize. I don't care if you find it offensive. It is the truth, so deal with it. We protest, we say no, we don't do anything violently, we are peaceful about it. Like Gandhi, we need to be peaceful. This has been Andrew talking to you about a potential big event coming within possibly the next few years if we don't get our acts together. God bless every one of you.